ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930 present The Drive. Winner of the 2024 West Virginia Broadcasters Association Excellence in Broadcasting Award for Best Talk Show.
It is Thursday, August 15th. Your drive, it begins right now on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann. Our text line this hour is 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Good to be back with you. We weren't here yesterday. For those of you that were tuning in live, we had Pirates baseball on the radio and afternoon affair. And the Padres got the victory over your Pirates 8-2. So the Pirates are off today, back in action tomorrow. Of course, we'll have that game for you right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. The Reds were victorious over the Cardinals today, 9-2. They are closer than ever to being 500. They are actually making a run right now. Guardians got the win over the Cubs yesterday, 6-1. So all three of those teams that we care about off today. The Charleston Dirty Birds fell to Lexington 7-0 yesterday in Atlantic League play, and that series final is tonight in Lexington. We got a lot going on today. Now, yesterday, since we were off, that means more for you today. I've got comments from linebacker Landon Watson. Had a chance to catch up with him a few days ago, and we'll hear from him about his excitement to play more at linebacker this season, and of course his general thoughts as another scrimmage opportunity is coming up on Saturday. So we'll find out more about what's happening with the Thundering Herd next week, but we still have plenty to hear from Landon today, and we'll hear a couple of things from A.G. McGee as well. So we've got that coming up. We've got the text line. It's going to be a busy night for Herd fans because tonight at 7 o'clock at Hoops Family Field, the women's soccer program opening up the regular season, taking on Morehead State. Now, this is also labeled as a fans first game, so there's going to be free admission. If you haven't had a chance to maybe go to a soccer match in a while, this is a great opportunity for you. It's going to be a new look team, so I'll be interested to see how fast they can get off to a good start. 7 o'clock tonight, Hoops Family Field. It's going to be a game with free admission. Now, of course, just keep in mind with the new Safe with the Herd initiative, there's going to be limited points of access into the stadium, so pay attention to all the signage if you're going tonight. I know women's basketball has been a curiosity these last few weeks because we knew that the women's basketball team would be traveling overseas. Now, I don't have many bits of info to give you. All I know is that the Herd was in Florence today, and they beat a team 87-58, and that's it. That's all I can tell you. No other information has been sent out other than they played. They were in Florence today, and they beat a team 87-58. I mean, still, that's a victory. You're getting a great overseas experience. You're getting to take on competition that you normally wouldn't have a chance to face, including different styles, I'm sure, different opportunities. Been a successful tour for the Thundering Herd. I just hate that they didn't have, I guess, a social media team member go over with them and do some things. I think a lot of Herd fans were actually interested in what was happening for this team more so than maybe they thought. So next time they do a trip like this, hopefully they're going to send the whole media package with the team to kind of give us those details. I mean, there wasn't really an opportunity to stream these games or watch these games anywhere, and I think that's something that a lot of fans are kind of curious. What's this Julie Folks team really going to look like? And this would have been a great opportunity. And speaking of seeing what this team's going to look like, of course, you know, we've got the season coming up, and we'll get plenty of opportunities there, especially in conference. But something that Coach Folks talked to us about a few weeks ago, you can actually go back and listen to that interview. I believe it was the July 1st edition of the show. I put the link out there earlier on X, formerly known as Twitter, if you want to go back and listen to it. She talked a little bit to us about this overseas trip, and she also talked to us about what's coming up when it comes to major opportunities for this team to be seen and play good competition. So Marshall is going to be part of the inaugural WBCA showcase, and that's going to be in Disney. That's going to be coming up on November 21st and 23rd. So that's a big deal. Why is that a big deal? Well, there are 4 participants, and Marshall is going to be one of them. Penn State is also going to be a participant, and Marshall will face Penn State on November 21st at 7:30 p.m., and then on November 23rd at 1 p.m., it's going to be Marshall versus Tulsa. The other team in this 4-team event is going to be Georgia, and so Penn State will play Georgia in that second day. But Marshall will get an opportunity to go up against Tulsa. Also, Penn State, that's going to be a great opportunity for the Thundering Herd. So nice things are happening for the Herd, at least with the women's basketball team. It just kind of feels like, sure, you lost your coach that took you to a conference championship, but you got a new one, and it looks like things are continuing on. And I don't want to say maybe put too much pressure on her, but she's got a big bar to jump, and so far so good. So the Women's Basketball Coaches Association will have this showcase at Walt Disney World Resort. So that's going to be pretty impressive. Big deal. Marshall's going to be a part of that, and they're already selling season tickets, so you could get your deposit in for the season. You can head over to herdzone.com and do that. We don't have the complete schedule just yet. I know they like to kind of release that in one batch, like the conference schedule. That gets released by the league, so that comes in one batch. And I would love to see Marshall just trickle that information out a little bit more instead of just waiting until the entire schedule is complete and ready to go. But that batch of games will be coming soon. We do know a couple of them, as I mentioned. Penn State will be on November 21st, and again, Tulsa will be on November 23rd. So that's a pretty big deal. That's absolutely a big deal. And to get to be at ESPN Wide World of Sports, the complex there, that's going to be a nice experience and trip. And again, I don't know how much you can use with recruiting something like this, but this is a team that's already got a chance to travel overseas and participate in a couple of events. This is a team that's going to get to participate in a couple of games. It's going to be at Disney. I know name, image, and likeness is the big thing these days when it comes to student athletes, but I think there's still some value and opportunities like this, and you can just say to your potential student athletes that you're recruiting, hey, this is what we do. This is how we take care of our student athletes. This is the type of opportunities you can experience while you play basketball for the Thundering Herd. We got a lot more to get into. We're going to do that. Get your text in, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. We've got, when we continue, comments from Landon Watson. We'll get his thoughts on the upcoming season, how things have gone so far. And as a bonus, we'll throw in a couple comments from safety A.G. McGee. He will talk a little bit about the competitive back and forth with the offense. He's been having fun. We're going to have a little bit more of him tomorrow as well. But Landon Watson, we'll get his comments, and we'll hear from you. The text line is 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Thanks for tuning in for today's edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Giovanni's Pizza. Fresh, hot, and tasty. Have it delivered right to your door. Giovanni's, the Italian place to be.
Hi, welcome to Sellathon. What do you have for sale?
Yeah, I got this refrigerator. It's black and in real good shape. I'd let it go for a good price.
Yeah, sounds nice.
Yeah, it just don't keep things cold real good. You know what I'm saying?
Don't buy your appliances from a Sellathon. Go to M&K Maytag in Proctorville. At M&K Maytag, you'll talk face-to-face with an expert, shake hands after a great deal, and leave with a smile. Appliances, parts, service, you'll find it all at M&K Maytag in Proctorville. 740-886-7795. Online at mnkmaytag.com.
Get out your Kelly Green and get ready to shout, "Let's go Herd!" It's Mount West Ninth Street Live, presented by New Trail, Garage Beer, Big Truck, The Beast, Lamarco Prosecco, and Matua Sauvignon Blanc. It's downtown Huntington's premier weekly music event. This Friday, it's the Thundering Herd Rally on the Marshall OBGYN stage with all your favorite Marshall teams, players, and coaches. Plus, the Marching Thunder, Herd cheerleaders, the dance team, and of course, Marco, with live music from Madhouse. Music starts at 7 on the Marshall OBGYN stage. The Little Caesar Blazers Kids Zone is back, and Go-Mart Happy Hour starts at 5. Enjoy food and drinks from the Marshall Hall of Fame Cafe, Sip Downtown Brasserie, and Summit Beer Station. 9th Street Live is driven by Yes Chevy, Yes Ford every Friday night through Labor Day. 9th Street in Huntington between 3rd and 4th Avenues. Sponsored by Delta Hotels, Marshall OBGYN, Wendy's, Mountain Mindful, City of Huntington, Marshall University, Impact Media, Xfinity High-Speed Internet, One-Way Septic and Rent-A-Can, and Kendrick Communications.
Shop the Sherwin-Williams 4-Day Super Sale and get 40% off paints and stains from August 16th through the 19th. With prices starting at $29.39, it's the perfect time to transform your space with color. Whether you're looking to revamp your bedroom, living room, or home office, we have you covered with bold hues, soothing neutrals, and everything in between. Shop the sale online or visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Get the best quality Dutch Boy paints for your painting project at Menards. Paint in one coat with Max Bond Plus exterior paint. It provides max adhesion, hide, and performance. With over 800 one-coat colors, it's designed to work for you. And with Dutch Boy's easy opening, smooth pouring container, transforming your home has never been easier. Save big money on Dutch Boy paints and head into Menards to get your paint project started today.
Save big money at Menards.
These days, you can use propane for so much more than grilling. Propane is reliable fuel for standby generators, furnaces, kitchen appliances, water heaters, and more. Always with cost-saving efficiency and cleaner performance than electricity. Clean energy around every corner. Propane can do that.
The Eric family has been delivering propane comfort across Ohio, Kentucky, and West Virginia since 1952. Go to ericspropane.com for more information.
The Marshall Hall of Fame Cafe heard what you're craving and is here to satisfy your appetite for value. Introducing the All Mine for $10.99 menu for a limited time only at the Marshall Hall of Fame Cafe. Enjoy bottomless Fiesta Bravo chips and salsa, your choice of a chicken sandwich, or a Hall of Fame cheeseburger, fries, and a drink for only $10.99.
All that for $10.99?
No, all mine for $10.99. No rules, any day, anytime. All mine for only $10.99 from the Marshall Hall of Fame Cafe on the corner of Fun and 3rd Avenue in downtown Huntington. This is The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
We continue on with this Thursday edition, The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Our text line is always open for you, 304-396-TALK. That's 304-396-8255. We're a few weeks away from the start of football season. I know all of you are excited to get a chance to get back to Jones C. Edwards Stadium, as the Herd will be opening up against Stony Brook. And one of the players that we had a chance to talk to a few days ago was linebacker Landon Watson. And he's a guy that's going to be expected to step up this year. There's an opportunity for him now to step up. There are some guys that are gone from that room, so bringing new guys in, of course, so he's got a little bit more tenure, maybe the best way to describe it. But he has an opportunity now, and he talked about his excitement for that opportunity to be able to go out there and just play more this season.
Well, yeah, I'm definitely very excited. You know, I was here last year, was able to learn behind Eli Neal and Ja'Cory Anderson, those great backers, being able to learn how they practice and kind of learn the role of being a linebacker. So for it to be my turn this year is very exciting. It's a lot of accountability that goes on me, but ultimately that will keep me accountable and make sure that I'm doing what I need to be doing in order to keep our team going.
So I wanted to know, when we were talking to him, where has he seen the most progress so far?
Really, schematically, you know, sitting with Coach Seymour, we talk a lot about scheme, but not just scheme. We also talk about like what the offensive tendencies are and what the offense likes to do. So it helps us play faster on the field when we know the tendencies that we talked about. One
of the questions I was asked of Landon was is he noticed a difference with his coach, with Coach Seymour? He's now in the linebackers room as well. So not only is he your defensive coordinator, he also has his own room, and that's the linebackers. And so Landon was asked if he has noticed a difference now that he's in there, and not just the defensive coordinator, but he's also a guy that gets to work closely with the linebackers.
Yeah, he's a very passionate coach. Ever since he's became the linebacker coach for us, I've seen everybody in our room elevate on the field and off the field. We're coming to meetings, wanting to learn, wanting to get better, and he's a hard coach. He's going to stay on us, so it keeps us intact.
Now, he talked about also with us about his progression since arriving at Marshall. He's a guy that's moved from special teams to defensive captain, and that's not lost on him.
Well, definitely when I first got here, I felt like I didn't have as much of or as big as a role as I have now. And so me just being with my role now, just taking it day by day and keep doing things that I need to do in order to be successful, and having my teammates hold me accountable and me holding them accountable will keep us going every day.
And that was something that was interesting because he's a guy that has earned his stripes. And so he was asked about that, being a guy that you came in, you were a transfer from TCU, and then you've earned your way up the ladder. You have got your playing time now. You have it handed to you. You worked hard. You got everybody's trust. You got the coach's trust especially. And so now you're a guy that has gone through it. You have respect. You've earned it. And with that type of journey, is that a message that you can relay, was the question, to some of the other players?
Yeah. When you first get to a new school, I'm obviously a transfer. When you transfer to a new school, you got to earn everybody's respect. So I feel like just the way that I practice and the way that I carry myself on and off the field has earned my teammates' respect.
And something else that I think is lost on a lot of these transfer players, and of course the transfer portal is going to be hit or miss. Doesn't matter. You could be the best player not playing at your school, and you can go to another school with the opportunity to play, and it might not work out, or it might be just what you needed, that opportunity you weren't getting elsewhere. So many different stories. And now this is, of course, a change of scenery. You go from one place to another, it's a fresh start, or at least that's the question that was asked to Landon. Is that change of scenery really a fresh start for players?
Yeah, it was definitely a fresh start for me. Leaving TCU, leaving the Metroplex area. There's a lot of things out there. So me wanting to come to Marshall, me wanting to get away from all the distractions and just focus on ball and continue with what Coach Seymour and Coach Huff got going great here. It was big to me.
So a lot of people, if you look at why they transfer to Marshall, sometimes it's just, hey, I can focus more on football. I can focus more on improving. Huntington, not necessarily a distraction capital. At least that's what I am getting the vibe from a lot of these players that have come from different places across the country, maybe even bigger places, and they come to Huntington. Huntington, not small, but not exactly big either. Now, one more thing from Landon. He was asked on which player on the offensive side, or what are some of the impressions he got from seeing some of those new faces, who stood out to him, some of those guys.
Obviously the running back room has been really good. We have a lot of depth there, but I say really the receivers, as being an outside linebacker, being on the perimeter, having to go against some of those slot receivers, just seeing the different type of weapons we have all over the field and making our defense better. So it's been I say the receiver that's been giving me the most trouble so far has probably been Elijah Metcalf. Smooth. Yeah, he's probably been giving me the most trouble so far, but iron sharpens iron, so.
We'll hear from Smooth tomorrow. We'll also hear a little bit more from this next guy who's his friend, safety A.G. McGee. Those guys seem to they seem to get along well. And one of the things that was asked to McGee was just how much fun the daily competition has been. It's been really fun, at least from their point of view so far. It's been competitive. It's been back and forth. How much fun has he had with that competition so far?
It's really fun just going against the offense. Good receivers on both sides. We got good running backs. And it's really fun just getting to compete every day.
Who do you like going up against the most, or who do you not like going up against the most?
I'd probably say going against the most. I like guarding in the slot. Elijah Metcalf, he a good receiver. Somebody I don't like going against the most. I can't really too much tell. I don't really got nobody I'm scared to go against. But we have really good receivers. They all got good competition every day.
And that's safety A.G. McGee. Now, one more thing from him. He was asked, and this might be a little bit more of interest to those of you that want to know more about what this offense is going to look like, what this air raid style is going to look like for the Thundering Herd. At least from AG's perspective, what's the difference between going against last year's defense to this year's air raid style offense? And here's what he had to say.
We run like a lot of more like spaced out. Is more of a different change, more receivers, more of a transition, more of an air raid. So more throws, more passes to the perimeter.
Kind of a preview. You don't get too much there, but still just a little bit more than you're used to. We'll hear more from him tomorrow, and we'll hear from, as they call him, Smooth. That's coming up tomorrow. We'll get your text in 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. This is The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Hey, checking in?
This is not just your flu shot appointment at Walgreens.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is getting your entire family vaccinated in one trip.
Hey, Mom?
And a snack on the way out. Get flu shots for everyone in your family, together. Schedule appointments online today. This is wellness made easy. Walgreens.
Vaccine subject to availability and for ages 3+. State and health-related restrictions may apply.
At Poca Valley Bank, a handshake can still mean the start of a great relationship. We've been greeting customers with a handshake since 1908. Why settle for less? If you're purchasing your first home or planning for your future, Poca Valley Bank is here to support you with personalized service and local expertise. They are your trusted advisors. Why settle for less when you can experience banking with a team that truly cares? Poca Valley Bank, where relationships matter. Visit PocaValleyBank.com. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Okay, forest animals, today is a new day. Kids are coming to the forest, and it's up to us to make their visit a good one. Sparrow.
Yes?
Have you practiced the most popular bird songs for the year?
Of course.
Catchy. I like it. Okay, River.
Dude.
How's the temperature?
It's a refreshing 52 degrees, man. Perfect for a little riverside shoeless relaxation.
Ah, good. Owl, you here? Course. Who's asking? I am. Look, you know the drill. Sleep during the day, scare the kids at night. Perfect. I love my job. Oak Tree?
What's up?
Still in the same place I left you last year. That's what I like. Consistency.
Well, it's not like I'm going anywhere for the next couple hundred years.
I know. I love it. Turtle. Turtle.
He's not here yet, man.
He's late every morning. You'd think he would have learned by now to leave the night before our meetings. Okay. Squirrel. Has anybody seen Mr. Squirrel?
The forest has been preparing just for you. Visit a forest near you today. To learn more about cool things to do in the forest, visit discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
This is The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
Our text line this hour is 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Welcome back to today's edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. As I mentioned, we got a lot to get into. Volleyball preseason coaches poll is out from the Sun Belt Conference, and I think this is definitely a must-show year for Ari Agnes. She has hopefully got everything in place where she can show that this team is better than 6th in the East Division as the rankings come out today. And this is the predicted order of finish. JMU in the East Division, they are picked first, followed by Coastal Carolina, then Georgia Southern, and then Old Dominion is 4th. Appalachian State is 5th. Marshall came in 6th, and Georgia State came in 7th. In the West Division, about what I expected. Texas State comes in first. Troy is 2nd. South Alabama is 3rd. Louisiana is 4th. Southern Miss is 5th. Arkansas State is 6th. And ULM is 7th. And that's a look at what the coaches think. Marshall did not land a single player on the preseason All-Sun Belt team. That is a little disappointing. But, again, it's loaded with Texas State. App State, Coastal Carolina, James Madison, Georgia Southern, Louisiana, Old Dominion all have at least one member on this thing. Troy has a couple of members. Texas State had 4 players named to the preseason all-team. Should be an interesting season. Hopefully the Thundering Herd can get it done. West Division, everyone thought that Texas State would win the West Division. 14 first-place votes. That's pretty impressive. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. That's our text line to be a part of today's edition of the show here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Since we're talking about preseason stuff, Logan Osborne, he's now Marshall's nominee for the 2024 Campbell Trophy, so some more accolades coming his way. I think Logan's going to have a fantastic year. I believe he actually is getting more respect outside of the Sun Belt than he has inside the league so far. I think those who follow these watch lists and follow these players know that Logan's going to be a pretty big deal for the Thundering Herd. So he, again, nominee for the 2024 Campbell Trophy. That's pretty good. I wish we could see more from others getting some attention, but it's kind of hard. We've talked about this before, but I don't care to go back to it. I mean, how do you find out about these players? How do you know about these players? Because they're transfer portal players, a lot of them. They come in, and you see social media posts, and you try to put together two and two, get an idea of what that player is about. But you don't learn much about that player. And I can understand why there's sort of a dust-up now and then from fans. And, again, this is all social media fans. I don't know if the majority of Herd fans who attend games on Saturday are really interested in spending a couple of hours hanging out watching practice, but I hear it, and again, it's all anecdotal. Oh, I wish I could go to practice. I don't know anything about these guys. I don't know anything about them. And, of course, there's a reason for that. It's because practice is closed. Practice is an opportunity for Marshall to get better and not have that much out about the Thundering Herd. Why would you, if you could prevent it, telegraph to the world, hey, this is what we're going to do? Now, Marshall's going to run an air raid. That's a given. Okay, that's easy enough. You know that. But who's going to be good at wide receiver? Who's going to be good at quarterback? What Marshall will look like on defense is anybody's game right now. Anybody who has an idea Marshall is going to be on defense, go ahead, throw it out there, because they like keeping this stuff close to the vest. And I say this because today I was following a couple of Cincinnati Bengals beat reporters, and Jay Morrison, who works for Pro Football Network, is one of them. The Bengals had an inter-squad practice with the Chicago Bears. Now, the Bengals put out some social media stuff, and they were hyping up a couple of things, and that's cool. But there were a couple of notes from this inter-squad practice. For one, Chris Evans and Deontay Smith were carted off. It was a wet field, so they were carted off, and don't have details on that just yet. Another thing is T. Higgins had a case of the drops, and that was in the practice report that Jay put out. And then Joe Burrow was picked off 4 times. Now, with the NFL, there's a lot of transparency and not a lot of transparency in some regards. But when it comes to things like this, that stuff's going to get out a lot more. I mean, it's the National Football League. Everybody knows everybody. It's hard to hide in the National Football League. That might be the best way to put it. It's hard to hide. If you're in college, you can hide. And I don't say that to be derogatory. I'm saying that as you can hide. You can keep some things close to the vest, especially when you're in a 4th year of your contract and you got a contract extension possibly coming up. You want to do as good as you possibly can, right? You want to perform well. And so you want to have as many tricks up your sleeve as you possibly can. And, of course, that's just good coaching. So I get it. I understand why we don't have maybe a little bit more of a transparent practice for Herd fans that are used to showing up and just hanging out at practice and watching the Herd practice and then go on the internet and tell everybody else what they saw at practice. Those days are kind of over. But would you want that? Would you want that kind of stuff out there? If you're a Marshall fan, do you want to know that maybe your star wide receiver or one of them was having a case of the drops? Do you want to know that your quarterback was picked off a few times? Do you want people to know, hey, we lost a couple of players to injury, here in the practice session? Do you want people to know that stuff about the Thundering Herd? Or are you good with the way it's done now. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Texter wrote in and said, Paul, I got a hot take for you. Wide receiver Elijah Metcalf will be the next Tommy Schuler. I'm good with that. Appreciate the text. Can we get a Rakeem Cato with that as well? If we got a Tommy Schuler, we got to have a Rakeem Cato with that. I am excited for the direction this football team is potentially moving to. I'm excited to see a more Marshall brand of offense out there. And if you're playing this style of offense, here's the thing. This is just me talking to you right now. I get the concept, hey, we want to win the game. We want to win the game. Okay, that's why you were hired here. And that goes for any coach. But say football is maybe the one sport outside, maybe basketball, you throw that in here as well. Football and basketball, more people seem to care about how the team wins. Not that the team won, it's how the team wins. And so you hear, hey, we're gonna play this exciting style of football. We're gonna play this high octane offensive system. We're gonna move the ball. We're gonna put points up. You want to hear that, right? That's partially what we're going. And of course, the air raid's gonna, if it's done right, it's gonna generate a lot of offense. And maybe a guy like Elijah Metcalf will be the next Tommy Schuler, or he'll be the first Elijah Metcalf that everyone's comparing themselves to years from now. But with a system like this, I think if it works, you're going to see maybe more interested parties from the quarterback position to talented wide receivers. I mean, running backs as well. Trust me, if you're a good running back and Coach Huff is knocking on your door, you should listen. I'm not calling him the running back whisperer, but he knows a thing or two about running backs. And so if you see this system and it's fun system, Marshall's having fun, getting a lot of yards, a lot of passing going on, you got a quarterback that's able to really shine in this system, and that's going to be more attractive, I think, for offensive players. It really matters, the style of play. Winning counts, it does, but when it comes to football, if you're a quarterback that likes to, you're not a quarterback that just wants to hand the ball off, short passes. Sometimes you're a guy that wants to go out there and sling it around a little bit. It does matter, because if you're a running back, and Marshall's a run-heavy school, they run the ball a lot. Coach Huff's really good with running backs. I'm interested there. And if you're run-heavy, then if you're a wide receiver, does that send a signal that, okay, they're going to run the ball a lot more? Maybe this isn't where I want to be. This isn't maybe the right fit for me as far as being a wide receiver. And if you're a quarterback, does that really play into it? Hey, look, we're going to focus heavily on the run. We're going to be a run-oriented team here. I mean, does that really matter? I think it does, just a bit. And so with this offensive system and things are opening up a little bit more, I think year 5, year 6, I think you're going to see, I hopefully believe, more of a return to form, at least closer to that brand of Marshall football that we all love. At least that's my hope. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. I leave it to you. What do you say? More coming up on this edition of The Drive, ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Remember the first day of school, new backpack, fresh hairstyle, cool new shoes? Now, if only mom had washed the car before dropping you off. Send your kids back to class and help them make a great first impression this new school year with a clean ride from Thoroughbred Express. Choose from a range of services tailored to meet your needs. From their signature wash and dry to tire shine, foam bath, triple foam, wheel cleaner, bug press, ceramic seal, ceramic shield, and weather guard. Thoroughbred Express has you covered. And after your wash, enjoy post-wash amenities like high-powered vacuums, all-purpose cleaner spray, fresh microfiber towels, and dedicated bay trash cans. All available at your local Thoroughbred Express location. So whether you're dropping the kids off or heading to campus yourself, a quick visit to Thoroughbred will make this school year shine. Wash with the best. Thoroughbred Express. Find a Thoroughbred Express location near you at thoroughbredexpress.com.
Giovanni's has great Italian dishes. Spaghetti with meat sauce, lasagna, ravioli, manicotti, all dinners served with hot garlic bread or Italian rolls. Giovanni's, the Italian place to be.
Get out your Kelly Green and get ready to shout, "Let's go Herd!" It's Mount West 9th Street Live, presented by New Trail, Garage Beer, Big Truck, The Beast, Lamarco Prosecco, and Matua's Sauvignon Blanc. It's downtown Huntington's premier weekly music event. This Friday, it's the Thundering Herd Rally on the Marshall OBGYN stage with all your favorite Marshall teams, players, and coaches. Plus, the Marching Thunder, Herd cheerleaders, the dance team, and of course, Marco, with live music from Madhouse. Music starts at 7 on the Marshall OBGYN stage. The Little Caesars Kids Zone is back, and Go-Mart Happy Hour starts at 5. Enjoy food and drinks from the Marshall Hall of Fame Cafe, Sip Downtown Brasserie, and Summit Beer Station. 9th Street Live is driven by Yes Chevy, Yes Ford every Friday night through Labor Day. 9th Street in Huntington between 3rd and 4th Avenues. Sponsored by Delta Hotels, Marshall OBGYN, Wendy's, Mountain Mindful, City of Huntington, Marshall University, Impact Media, Xfinity High-Speed Internet, One-Way Septic and Rent-A-Can, and Kendrick Communications.
Hey, checking in?
This is not just your flu shot appointment at Walgreens.
Yes.
Yep.
This is getting your entire family vaccinated in one trip.
Hey, Mom?
And a snack on the way out. Get flu shots for everyone in your family, together. Schedule appointments online today. This is wellness made easy. Walgreens.
Vaccine subject to availability and for ages 3+. State and health-related restrictions may apply.
Metro Community Federal Credit Union has been serving the Huntington community for 70 years and is proud to announce our newest location in Lavalette is now open. Wayne County residents, you now have access to a modern banking facility, a full range of services, advanced technology, expert financial advice, and even a smart coffee kiosk cafe. Learn more about Metro Community Federal Credit Union online at metrocommunityfcu.com or visit us today on 5th Street Road.
Equal housing lender, member NCUA.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't sat in your lap in months. And even more stuff, but still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed, and they're the stuff inside your stuff. Even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs, and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover keytar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
You're listening to The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Winner of the 2024 West Virginia Broadcasters Association Excellence in Broadcasting Award for Best Talk Show.
It's our final segment for today's edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Plenty of time for you, however, at 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. College Football Playoff Committee getting set for its season as well. The selection committee has released its order of release dates. Now, the rankings are going to, of course, be an event on ESPN. We're going to follow along. And none of these dates really matter, except the final one. So the first announcement of the rankings will be on Tuesday, November 5th. And that's going to be an interesting start. Okay, this is where the committee thinks everybody is at this point. But none of these dates are really consequential. The only thing that these rankings do until the final release are they override the coaches poll and the AP poll. Because when you look at how we rank teams, up until this point, we rank teams based on their Associated Press and their coaches poll ranking. Now, there will be those that still use those rankings once the college football playoff numbers are out. But the first ranking on November 5th, all that does is kind of give us a snapshot of where they're at right now, but it doesn't mean anything. Same with the rankings on the 12th of November, 19th of November, November 26th, doesn't matter. December 3rd, maybe a kind of a preview of what might be to come. And then December 8th is really the only date we care about. We only care about December 8th. Everything else is just going to be us talking about, hey, this is where they're at this week, because these things change every single week. Now, I also, when I was looking at the release earlier, they were talking about in the release a couple of things. They've got a recusal policy. So basically, you have to recuse yourself depending on, what school. So, for example, Hunter Yurchek has to recuse himself for Arkansas. You know a guy that's on this committee? I don't know if you knew this or not. The selection committee members include former head coach of Ohio University, Wake Forest, and Baylor, and, of course, a Marshall guy, Jim Grobe. Jim Grobe is on this selection committee, and he has to recuse himself when it comes to Marshall. So there are schools that everyone on this selection committee must recuse themselves of. Marshall is on the list because of Jim Grobe. That's a school that Jim has to recuse himself from when they come up in conversation. It's interesting. I did not know he was even on the committee until I saw the release earlier. So, hey, we're kind of friends with Jim Grobe. He's a longtime friend of the program. We might have to have him on, talk a little bit about this, see at least what he can tell us. I'm curious to see if he can give us a little bit more detail about this and what his position means. So I'm curious to see how that works. I mean, he can inform them, but he can't vote. So, hey, if Marshall's having a really good year, Jim can't vote, but he can possibly say, hey, they're pretty good. I'm just saying they're pretty good. You can look at them. Of course, we don't have to worry about those conversations anytime soon. Marshall's going to have to do its business first in the non-conference side, because really teams if you're a team like Marshall, unless you absolutely are just undeniable, you got to work your way into that conversation with a conference championship, East Division title, a conference championship, and then have very few blemishes on your schedule. And I think you could suffer a blemish against Ohio State. You could possibly suffer a blemish against Virginia Tech. Not too many other schools on that list on the schedule you could suffer a blemish against. And that's where I'm hoping that the way this system works out, Marshall has a legitimate shot to be in, one of those 12 spots. But it's going to take a lot of work for Marshall to do that. And what's that mean? That means winning the East Division. That means winning the conference championship. That means being one of the best group of 5 schools. And I still think you can do that with a blemish against you if it's, say, Ohio State. If you split between Ohio State and Virginia Tech, I think that looks better for you. But again, you got to handle your business. You got to take care of your schedule first and foremost before we can even have these conversations. And I hope Marshall can. Because after all, I thought that it was a travesty that Liberty got in. That was absolutely a travesty that Liberty was able to get in. Liberty didn't prove anything to me. They didn't show me anything, and they still haven't shown me anything. I mean, okay, they might be really good when it comes to teams that they go up against in Conference USA, but they didn't show me anything, and I don't see it. So I hope that we have a little bit more of a critical eye when it comes to which one of these teams get in. And, of course, there's going to be a team from the so-called group of 5 that will get in. Is it going to be a team from the American? More than likely a team from the American, because I think that Sun Belt's going to beat itself to death with all the teams going back and forth. That's the only thing that I think is really hard to overcome is if you are a strong team in a weak conference and you can overrun the conference, if you can run the table, you're Liberty, you have a legitimate shot here. If you're a team in the Mid-American Conference, like Marshall would run the table, just about run that conference when Marshall was in its prime. If you get a team that's hot in one of those conferences and that can do that and is the overwhelming favorite, they're going to shine a little bit more than a team from, I say, the Sun Belt, even though it's regarded, especially the East Division, as one of the tough group of 5 divisions in college football. Yeah, it's great. Everybody's really good. You might not want to face them in a bowl, but it's hard for one team to maybe stand above the pack, especially with the nature of this league. It's like a mini SEC, just really good top to bottom, teams beating each other up. But these are interesting dates that are before us. Again, they're doing this because all of November we're going to just have something to talk about, generate interest in this. And then, of course, December 3rd, I don't know if that's going to be like the preview. We're setting the table. And then, depending on the outcomes of some games, we'll shake it all up, and you'll find out on December 8th. You think Marshall's got a legitimate shot? Maybe not this year, but eventually Marshall will have, or a Sun Belt representative will have a legitimate shot in getting to this thing. Eventually, it's got to have to happen, right? Marshall or one of these teams in the Sun Belt eventually will have to make that run, right? Is it going to be an Appalachian State? Is it going to be a James Madison? You know, who's got the best shot at doing that right now? Could it be a team from the West Division? Could it be like a team like Troy? I'm curious to see how this plays out the next few years, especially with a deep conference like the Sun Belt. When it comes to teams in the group of five, yeah, the Sun Belt's pretty solid. I would say the Sun Belt on par, just about. It's close to the American. I think it's better than Conference USA, and the Mid-American Conference, you never know what you're going to get out of that league. But at the same time, I think Marshall's still in the better league. It's a good position right now for Marshall to be in. That's going to do it for this edition. Thanks for tuning in. I'll be back with you tomorrow here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Until then, have a great night, everyone.
Retransmitting on Glorious FM on 94.1 W227BS Huntington. This is 930 WRVC Huntington, celebrating 100 years of broadcasting.